everybody. Today I am interviewing Claire Berger, and she is the author of the book, How Much is Enough? Getting More by Living with Less. She's been earning her living as a comedian, an improv actor, and a writer. And she's been with Second City. She was also a warm-up comedian for about 65 sitcoms, including Seinfeld, Murphy Brown, and Mad About You. So she transitioned into becoming a writer, and we're going to find out a little bit more about her book. So, welcome, Claire. Your career sounds like it was really fascinating. I noticed you were on Murphy Brown. My boyfriend was one of the camera operators on that.
Oh, wow.
Um,
And I have one of the people that I was in Second City with. I'm guessing you might have done voiceover with Dan Castellaneta,
oh,
Homer
yeah, I
Simpson.
did one show with him. I did Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had a
So,
guest star on that. I mean, it was
and
just like one episode, but it was really fun. He's
yeah,
amazing.
who knew in 1982 at Second City that Dan Castellaneta would end up as Homer Simpson, Julia Louis-Dreyfus would end up on Seinfeld, Nancy Giles would end up on CBS Sunday Morning. There was
Oh,
such an incredible collection of, and Patria Burchard, who's become a pretty notable voiceover and anime voiceover actress too. So that was kind of my ensemble in the 80s in Second City in Chicago. It was
oh,
incredible.
I didn't know Petrea was in there. I've worked with her on some shows. We did a show called Tenchi Muyo. It was like a Japanese
Yes,
anime.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's great. She's one of my Facebook friends.
Yeah, I got a lot of inspiration from her when I recorded my audiobook because she has, I think she's got over 50 that she's
Yeah.
voice acted on. And last one I heard, she was a Russian man. She's very talented. She's very
She,
versatile.
my voice is sort of stuck in the kid zone, even though I'm 70.
That will serve you. That's how a girl earns a living, right?
Well, yeah, I was for a long, long time. And now everything's changed so much that now, everybody's working online. So whereas we had about 30 actors doing the stuff that we were doing, now there's like thousands and they're all fans of it, and it's
Yeah.
kind of changed a lot. But we all reinvent ourselves.
Yes, I mean that's the gift of looking back at a 40-year long career, right? We
Hmm.
we do nothing but pivot and reinvent, and whatever happens is enough. The
Yeah.
whole concept of my book is really kind of living your life with gratitude and being in acceptance that what you have, in fact, is enough. And I feel like there were so many paths I could have taken throughout my life. And I was very clear about what my goals were personally and professionally. 3 years ago, my kids really made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I left my life I love in Los Angeles. I moved here to Brooklyn to help raise my grandchildren. And it's enough. It is enough of a life. It is a big, beautiful life that bears no resemblance to my California life. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to reinvent.
Are you originally from Brooklyn?
Chicago.
Oh,
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Originally from
Wow.
Chicago, moved out to LA in the 80s, and then moved here 3 years ago. So I'm starting all over again in my 60s. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I haven't left LA. I like kind of for a while I was in Orange County and a short time in San Diego, but I've been pretty much in LA the whole time.
Yeah.
But one thing I did notice is you're really into travel too, which I'm totally into too, whenever I can do it.
Yeah. There is a chapter in my book about how much is enough travel. And I think travel is an essential path to growth, to self-reflection, to understanding that, in fact, we do have enough. I mean, it takes going to, other countries and seeing how people live to really appreciate what we have back home. I think every high school graduate should really take some time to travel, even before they enter college, just to get a perspective on, what our country does offer, what their life does hold for them, and how to, comparing it to other people. I mean, we're so lucky here. It's not a perfect
It's,
world, but it's pretty good.
yeah, it's true. I was able to get my kids to travel fairly early, like when they were teenagers, and my daughter has not stopped, although she just got pregnant finally, so she's Probably
Grad,
going to stop her for a while. But
you'll be surprised. My granddaughter, before she was 2, had been to 3 countries. So, you never know. They're very packable grandchildren. You'll see.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm sure she will once she, gets over that initial having a
Shock.
baby thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll probably take me with her. I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, yeah. No, I went with my kids to Japan. It's wonderful. I feel, for me, looking back at my career, and I got to work on such great shows, and I really had such a great time in comedy. And
I
I was
can
able to raise
imagine.
kids. And I was able to raise my kids. And that was really my North Star. That was something that was so important to me. So when other colleagues of mine, went on to star on Saturday Night Live and network television and national tours, I was happy to do warm up. I was happy to be home and raise my kids and earn a steady living doing what I love, but also being there for my family. And that to me is the ultimate brass ring in entertainment for sure.
Yeah, I agree totally. That was what was nice for me too, as I was doing voiceovers, so I wasn't on a set all day long. I was just there for a couple of hours, usually. So I was able to be home with my kids also, which I think was really important.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
It's funny, I have a friend who does warm up too. I don't know if you know Ezra Weiss. He's another voice actor, but
Um,
he's done a bunch of shows too.
yeah. It was a really interesting perspective, from the audience. Every time I drove on the lot, I thought the minute I'm jaded and I don't get excited is the day I should resign because this is a thrill and a privilege. And sitting with the audience and watching the show unfold was just such a pleasure and so fun for me, especially on shows like Seinfeld, where they would come up and say, look, we're going to try 2 different endings. Let's let the audience decide. We'll be, doing our final edit based on the audience response. So I really let the audience know how important they really were. And I think the big misconception is that there is all laugh track all the time. And for the really high quality shows like Seinfeld, there was no laugh track. That was us. That was the audience.
Ah, that's good to know. I didn't know that. Well, I guess I would have assumed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Murphy Brown as well. And, all the really top tier shows. There was no need for laugh track. These were really good shows with solid writing and great casts.
Oh, they were. They were amazing. I mean, even my daughter's sometimes watches Seinfeld even
Yeah.
now, and she doesn't even know who Barbara Streisand is. So no, it was really funny. We went to a Barbara Streisand concert because her company had tickets for it. And she just like said, I don't even know who this is. And I'm like, what? She wanted to leave early. And I'm like, what? No.
I
Oh, I'm
listened
sorry.
to her audiobook. I don't know if you did. It was quite a commitment, 32 hours.
Oh,
Mine's a lot
wow.
shorter. It's less than 8. Mine is a lot shorter than
Yeah.
hers. Oh,
I haven't had a chance to listen. I like the audio,
yeah.
obviously. It's
Yes.
just
Yeah.
easier to see
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what got you into doing to writing and your whole reinvention story.
Well, I always wrote. I wrote my own
Mhm.
act. In college, when I realized I wasn't going to get the starring roles, I really realized that comedy would be a great self-marketing tool. So
Mhm.
and even as a child, we moved around a lot and sometimes in the middle of the school year. And I knew I could really hit the ground running with my sense of humor and that people wanted to be around fun people. So it was a chance for me to really, make friends quickly. So I always appreciated the power and the value of a sense of humor, and developing one has really meant a lot to me in my personal as well as my professional life. I think it's made me a better parent, and I do think it's made me a better writer. I write a lot of content for a lot of different clients in addition to writing my own work. I write for culinary immersion programs in Italy. I write for personal and professional coaches. I write for professional organizers, and anybody that wants some good content for their website, I will write for you. And I find that learning a little bit about a lot of people makes me a better writer. This book, How Much Is Enough, came from moving here right at the tail end of the pandemic, joining the
Mhm.
Y, right at the end where there were really strict rules in place, and you had only 30 minutes you could swim, and then you had to get out of the pool. And I made those 30 minutes count, and I came out of the pool all, breathless and feeling great. And then they lifted the rules and you could swim longer. And I was really happy as a 30-minute swimmer. And I thought to myself, can't 30 minutes be enough? Why am I starting to beat myself up that I should be swimming more? I'm a happy 30-minute swimmer, and 30 minutes is enough. And then
30 minutes is definitely enough.
it's with me. And then I started asking myself how many times I am asking this question. I wake up in the morning. Did I get enough sleep? Is there healthy food in the house? Do I have enough time to spend at the gym today? Am I going to be able to spend enough time with my grandchildren? It goes on and on. And the more people I talked to about this, the more I understood that this is not unique to my age and stage in life. Everybody is questioning many aspects of their life. And I wrote about 22 of them in the book.
I think the pandemic was a really good time for people to be introspective about what their life was. There's so many people that have changed the way that they work.
Yep.
All these office buildings are empty basically, and
Yeah.
it's really changing. They're trying to get more balance in their lives.
People have really reevaluated how much is enough time to spend at work. Once they started working at home and they spent more time with their families, they realized that there had to be a different kind of balance in the quality of their life. There are
Mhm.
silver linings to the pandemic, and I really think that that's one of them, where people really reevaluated their work-life balance and realized that they could be productive at home and have the time with their family.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I mean, sometimes you miss out on the social part being at home all the time, but at least now we can get out and do a few things.
Yes, thank goodness. Yeah.
I'm still nervous about going to the gym. I was given a free gym membership from Medicare and I went for a while and then both of my kids were getting married within like a 3 month period and I was like, "Oh, I'm afraid to go. I don't want to get sick." And so I haven't been back yet, but
It's worth going. It's fun. At any age, it's fun. And it's a great way to, just feel in your body and make friends and also honestly, Rebecca, it's great to look at other people's aging bodies. It gives you a perspective that you're not seeing on Instagram. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
oh, I know.
there's social media perception of how we age, and then there's real life. And I think it's really important that we take a gander at real aging bodies and see that we're all doing just fine. We are good enough the way we are.
Oh, I hear you on that. When I'm looking at my Instagram feed, I follow a lot of people a lot of women that are over 50. And, there's so many of them that just have these perfect bodies and they're just, they're doing yoga and standing on their heads and all that stuff.
Good
And
for
it's like,
them.
yeah,
Good for
it's
them.
hard. It's hard sometimes. You just think like,
Yeah,
but it's true. You have to learn to love yourself and just be who you are. I'd
absolutely.
I'd still like to lose weight, but I'm not doing Ozempic.
I just listened to an interview with Michelle Buteau, who's the co-star of Babes. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, but it is a
No.
hilarious movie out, directed by Pamela Adlon, who is also a voiceover actress and really funny comedian. But she has always espoused body acceptance and body positivity, and she is sexy as anything. Beautiful, big body, gorgeous woman who is just so charismatic, and so you can't take your eyes off her. And I think the more people go out and really present themselves in a place of acceptance and say, this is me, this is enough, this is my best foot forward today, I think it's going to bolster a lot of people's confidence. At least I hope so.
Yeah, as long as it's not unhealthy. I think they give us sort of a version of what we're supposed to look like. Like the thing that I really hate online is you'll see like something pop up, say on Facebook, and it'll say, "Oh, this actress doesn't look anything like she did like 40 years ago." I'm just going like, "Duh."
Yeah. In my chapter on beauty, I talk about, really aging and becoming invisible on the streets of New York is kind of a superpower. I really don't see it as a negative. I hear a lot of older women, women my age, really complaining about feeling invisible in society. And I really do see it as a superpower. It gives us a chance to really just not be so influenced and self-conscious about what others see and think of us, but look within and really understand that, we are healthy, we're here, we're vibrant, we're walking the same streets as our 20-year-old self did. We're doing just fine. And whether or not we're, getting attention from strangers should not define our quality and our sense of ourself. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true. You're not getting hit up on and stuff, but
that's
which
just fine.
is fine with me.
Yes. They're lost, Rebecca. They're lost. That's what
They
I
have no idea.
have no idea what they're missing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like your idea about putting humor in your life too. I think that's so important. And you see a lot of comedians they live really long lives, like George Burns or, people like that. And I think Betty White, because they do have humor, they're able to not take life so seriously
I
and
mean, look at
stress out.
Norman Lear, 102, I think he made.
Yeah.
I was, I mean, when he died, I was like, I'll take 102. I'll take the life. His life was so rich and so filled with so much humor. And he was such a mentor to so many people as well. I mean, he was really a legend.
I saw him in person when I think he was about 98 and he did this whole spiel like in front of a big audience and he just kept going on and on for like I don't know like an hour and a half talking about his book. It was amazing. And then Dick Van Dyke too.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
incredible.
Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a rich legacy they have laid for all of us for sure.
Well, I really think that it's a rule for longevity is to have some type of sense of humor or you're just not taking life as serious as some people do.
Yeah. And the whole concept of human connection. My dad, he spent his final years very deep in dementia, but he always could
Mm.
remember his favorite joke. And he would tell over and over and over again to anybody that would listen. And he charmed the pants off everybody with this goofy little joke. And I watched him over the years, just charm people with his goofy sense of humor. And I thought, this is the key to his longevity. There was no question about it to me.
Yeah, my dad was like that too. He was really funny. He was from Brooklyn and he lived to be 90, so
Yeah.
didn't eat anything like he was supposed to. I mean, he ate junk food or whatever, but he was really funny and he was very social too.
Yeah. Well, and all this new research is showing us that having a social life, being socially connected to other people has a lot to do with our quality of life at this age and stage for sure.
Yeah, I relate to what you were saying about that you moved around a lot as a kid. I did too because he was a salesman. So we were always like moving from one house to the other. And even after I moved out, they still kept moving around just because they would get bored with some place. And then I ended up moving a bunch of places in LA. And it's hard sometimes. I mean, I think the way that you were able to cope with it was great. I was a little bit more on the shy side. And that's probably why I went into acting because I would be, I could be somebody else, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it can be really difficult and to kind of keep like some people that live in the same house all their lives and they know all their friends are still there and everything. And so they have these lifelong friends, but it's just a little bit different. But I think in a way it's great because you get to see a lot of different things, just like when you travel somewhere else.
Yeah, and you're gonna, I
So,
think, I know throughout my life, I was thrown into all kinds of new scenarios, new people that I had to, immediately connect with. And I really feel it was a combination of moving around and improv training. And I really
mhm.
can't say enough about improv because I think it should be core curriculum. I don't care what you do in your life for work, you will need improv skills. And I think personally, too, the concept of yes and. really giving it the most positive spin on whatever is faced, whatever you're faced with, not to shut it down, but to lean into it and say, this is the reality. This is how it's going to go. Even when my dad, was in dementia, and he would be, just talking gibberish, I'd just go with it. To me, it was just one big improv exercise that treated him with a level of respect that I know somewhere in his heart he did appreciate. Why would I need to start a sentence with the word remember? Just
Mm-hmm.
being in his reality was enough for him to feel connected and part of the world. And it was my pleasure to do that,
Yeah.
you know.
I remember my dad he didn't go quite into the depths of dementia. I mean, he had a little bit of it for sure around that time, but we were sitting there watching the Turner Classic Movies and Fiddler on the Roof came on. And I swear to God, he knew every scene that was coming up, every line. Just like it just popped up, and I'm like, I couldn't even remember
And it's
it.
funny. I think it was Dr. Oliver Sacks says that is the last thing we lose is our musical memory. And that's why
Mm,
therapy is so important too, because sometimes just reminding a patient of songs that they loved and became evocative to them for an age and stage in their life is enough to make them feel that they're still part of the world. And I think that's beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. Getting back to the humor too is you use it as a coping strategy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think
I
you
mean,
can't get older without, having
no,
challenges for
no.
sure.
And what we have an alternative. We can be bitter. We can be
Hmm.
hypochondriacal. We could be negative. We could be, angry.
Hmm.
Those aren't my options. I don't even consider them. I also believe that even though my kids are fully launched and in their own lives 100%, I'm still their mom and I'm still a role model of sorts to them. And I have a high standard for myself. And I always did as a comic too. I never really wanted to do really, blue material or, anything that I think if my kids stumbled upon it, on the internet or whatever, it would embarrass them. And so it was really, really important to me to take the high ground, to have a sense of humor, but not to go low with it. And that was also one of the premises in Second City too. You never cursed on that stage. You never went low. You always
I
top of the
love
audience,
that.
always
I've been to the comedy store and stuff, and everything's pretty, pretty blue.
pretty blue. Yeah.
And to me, it's not as clever.
No.
You could take somebody like Robin Williams who really didn't have to use that at all, and
Or
he was
Jerry Seinfeld.
hysterical. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And he
Yeah,
had a real, has had a real work ethic as a road comic too. Whether
mhm.
other comics would wake up around 4:30, do the show, probably try to hook up with a waitress or whatever, and then go home. Jerry got up, got dressed, went to work every day. It was an office kind of mentality, and it really it explained why and how he got so successful. Really,
Yeah, I think the comics that last the longest, well, obviously they live better. They
yes,
don't they're not doing harm to themselves,
right, right,
but yeah, I think that's probably why they last long. And
yeah.
they
No,
have a lot of them have tight relationships with people too.
I mean, I talk about substances. There's a chapter on substances in the book, and it's a tough subject to talk about because everybody wants to have fun. Everybody wants to enjoy that extra dessert. Everybody wants to have a cocktail, whatever it is, that's your thing. But how much is enough? And that is a very personal journey that, quite frankly, we are all on in our own way. And I didn't really feel I could write this book without exploring that subject. And I'm glad I
No,
did.
that was another thing I related to too, because in my last relationship, it turned out he was an alcoholic too, and ended up getting cancer, I think, because of it. So, yeah, I know what it's like. It's not fun
It's not
to
fun.
live with that.
Not fun.
But
But it does help to have a sense of humor. I'll tell you, dark
it
humor is
does.
still a sense of humor.
No, it does. And
You through
I
hard
think that
times.
helps you to find your own happiness in life too. You kind of have to not let that type of thing bring you down.
I
You
agree.
just work on your own happiness.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to be able to get away from it like for me, it was financially, it was hard, especially in LA, but then it kind of resolved itself, I guess. It sounds horrible, but it did.
Oh, I mean, for me, after 30 years of marriage, I realized I was both too young and too old. I was too
Hmm.
young to settle for life with someone in addiction. And then I was also old enough to know better and to have the confidence in myself to know that there were better days ahead for me, even as a
Hmm.
single person. And I really feel like I went through my adolescence in my 50s because I was married at 20 and then it ended
Oh,
at 50. So really, my 50s were my adolescent years, and I highly recommend that. That is a good idea.
yeah,
Fun
I
decade.
do. Or do it, where you have fun at the beginning of it, which I kind of did.
Yeah, yeah,
That all works out.
it does. It does. Yeah.
Oh, this is really wonderful. So tell us, the audience or whoever's watching this, how they can get a hold of you. And I know you have a Facebook group and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, yes. So claireberger.com is the easiest way to find me. And I'm always posting on both Instagram and the Facebook group is the How Much Is Enough group. And we really do a lot of exploration as a community, talking about various concepts surrounding the concept of enough. In LA, in July, there'll be quite a few live book events. Thank you so much for posting them on
Oh,
your
you're
website. I
welcome.
really appreciate that. We really took a non-traditional approach to our book events. I'm doing conversations with the comedian Wendy Hammers. We are so excited about the variety of places we'll be doing book events, beauty salons, health food stores.
I
Um,
love that.
we'll be teaching creative writing at the Art Division, a wonderful, wonderful nonprofit in East LA that serves inner city artists. And I just am very, very excited. In Northern California, I'm going to be reading in an assisted living home. And I'm so excited to hear their concepts of enough at that age and stage as well. So this book was really written to start a conversation, and I'm really looking forward to having it with as many people as I can.
I love what you're doing. I think it's fabulous. It
Thank
really
you.
is.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.